Yeah, man, good morning. Today's the 8th of June. Today I just want to share my thoughts on the Bible about the invasion of Canaan. The Bible is a military movement. It's basically a ship's log. People being trees and Lord of the Sabbath. So I think this is just an important subject to talk about because we are in a world conflict, and we're dealing with a lot of conflicts around the world. Just to name a few: Myanmar, Ukraine, Nigeria, Israel. And you can see just everywhere you look, there's just this battlefield. It keeps growing and growing. I forgot to mention Haiti, right? So a lot of terrible things, a lot of people migrating, right? A lot of people due to the economy, a lot of people moving around, massive amount of people in need. And I think the Bible, a very important book, which covers a lot of these things. A lot of people telling me the Bible is just a book by desert people, so uneducated people. Just not true, because the Lord, when He speaks in the Bible, He uses a lot of fractions. Okay, He uses fractions is very important in different scientific fields. For example, aerodynamics, orbital mechanics, linear algebra, thermodynamics, calculus, radar, sonar. If you look at all these formulas, they always involve fractions. And for you to become someone like scientists, lawyers, or engineers, or doctors, okay, you need words. You study books. Yeah, I became a computer scientist because I studied all the books, studied all the books about data structures, networking, different programming language. I had to learn. It's the same with the Bible. The Bible is basically not just a book. I consider it as a military movement. Okay, now military movements. I've been in the military, and I'm telling you, movements are classified. It's classified information. We have the Bible in our hands today. It tells us all the different movements, the prophets, the different kings, the military campaigns of King David, right? The different people, the Pharaoh's armies. Talked about Pharaoh. Talked about King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, King Darius of Persia. Okay, it mentioned kings, even kings that were conquered. The whole point in this video is basically to talk about the invasion of Canaan, because it's a sensitive subject, because a lot of people point out, okay, God is terrible because he commanded basically this, he gave this marching orders, okay? Before I get into that, I just want to know that God told him to write the word, so it's not just a book. God told him to write these books, okay? So it's the word of God. That's in Exodus chapter 34:27. And my whole point, it's a military movement, okay? So why were they moving? Basically, God told, let's actually just go to that chapter. Oh yeah, it's right here. Hold on a second. That's Exodus 34. That says. Okay. Yeah, the Lord said unto Moses, write down these words. Okay. And this other chapters where he told him to write them down. There are multiple times God told somebody to write them down. For example, the prophet Jeremiah. God told him to write these words down, okay? Because God wanted to speak to the kings of Israel at that time. He wanted to talk to the kings of Jerusalem what was about to happen, because there was a massive invasion coming. The king of Babylon was coming to invade. So let's look at this, the wilderness, okay? So basically God commanded them to leave Egypt, okay? So it's a record of them moving around the wilderness, around the region of Sinai. So they were moving around, and you can see here, oh yeah, so let's, for example, okay, let's look here, John chapter 18, okay? Even in the New Testament, it's a movement, because it tells you where Jesus was going. For instance, in this book, the book of John, you see Jesus said, when Jesus had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the brook Cedron. There was a garden. It's weird in this book, I don't know what book this is, but usually it's the Valley of Kidron. Okay, it's spelled different here. But yeah, Jesus would go to the Valley of Kidron, and where he would stay with his disciples. So you can see the movement where he was going. You know, in other chapters, in other verses, he was going to different cities like Samaria. I believe he went to Shechem. But there were people that you can go to these places. Galilee or Bethsaida, tourism. He went to different places. They were constantly moving around. There were women with him. So these are movements that they were doing. It's a record of movements. Movements are classified information. I want to make sure that's correct, okay? Because I don't want to. Okay, so there's different kind of movements. But yeah, usually it should be classified, okay? You can't tell anybody where you're going, because then it could be used as a tactical advantage. They can ambush you. You can get ambushed. So anyways, why were they moving? Basically, in the book of Numbers, God mustered up the 12 tribes of Israel. When they left Egypt, they were going out and they were going to invade the land of Canaan. And a lot of people bring this up, and basically they say, oh man, so let's see what they're talking about here. What's going on, like, and I understand, man, I understand, it is disturbing, but the Bible covers a lot of things that are disturbing, which relates to what's happening right now in the world, which is horrible. There are a lot of children dying. There are a lot of things, there's a lot of children dying. That's crazy, I'm telling you. Let's see here. Okay, so God gave them the marching order, basically. You shall utterly destroy them, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites. Okay, they were supposed to destroy this people. Why were they given this order? Okay, they were given this order because what happened here in Deuteronomy chapter 12, it says they gave their sons and daughters to the fire, right? They sacrificed their children in the fire, which actually they're still doing to this day. They are sacrificing children to their gods, which is happening right now in a lot of places. Children are blowing themselves up or killing people. I've seen a lot of videos of children executing people, or they're blowing themselves up, they're strapping bombs on their chest and stuff. Okay, so Jesus talked about it, right? People are going to come, they're going to kill you because they think they're doing service to God, or they're thinking they're doing service to God. That's why they're doing this. I'll show you a video.
Alright, well,
It's not no child goes out and does what the wicked things that adults do, right? No child. When was the last time? When was the last time a child murdered someone, raped someone, kidnapped someone? It's an absurdity.
So that's just one example. Okay, there's another one. They're training these children to kill people, or sometimes they will kill themselves. They're burning their children for a sacrifice for their gods. These children are being trained in different combat techniques, like disarming individuals. I'm not going to show you some of the videos I have, but there's videos of them executing people, like grown men. They're killing them, shooting them in the head or beheading them with a knife. That's just stuff that's going around the world. It's horrible, and I don't agree with children. I'm not trying to say it's okay to hurt children, but I'm telling you. Jesus said, man, anyone who offends his little ones, it's better off that you tie a stone around your neck and jump in the ocean, right? It's going to be horrible. It's going to be a horrible punishment for all those people that are teaching children to do this stuff. Because God said, children are the kingdom of heaven, okay? It belongs to the kingdom of heaven. Jesus did talk about children will rebel against their parents. Let's look that up. Okay, this is a horrible chapter. I don't think a lot of people know that it says this. Sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, brother shall betray brother, right? And father the child. The children will rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. And that's happening in the West and both in the East. All children killing their parents. Anyways, like I said, they were given orders to destroy these nations because they were sacrificing children. That's why they were told to go invade Canaan, right? Because they were committing idol worship, and they were sacrificing children to their gods, which is happening right now. Basically, I just want to think. I'm not sure if I should talk about this, but I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, okay. So a lot of people think that it was like when they talk about it, they talk like it's going to be a slaughter. Like, oh, go ahead and slaughter those people, which is actually not true. Okay. First of all, these people did not want to move. Okay, the Hebrews and the foreigners among them, right? Numbers 21, chapter 5. So let's look at that real quick. Numbers 25. And again, this is just my opinion, man. I love talking about this stuff. This is great stuff. I'm glad when I started reading the Bible front, I literally read the Bible front to cover to cover. I really did that. Like, a lot of people say they do that. I used to say that when I really didn't. But I actually did it one day. I think it took me like 2 years, maybe a year. It took me 2 years. I was just constantly reading every week. Let's see, or maybe a year. Yeah, it was a year. Numbers. Okay, let's look at Numbers, chapter 21, verse 5. And the people spake against God and against Moses. So this people did not want to even move. Okay, I wouldn't want to move. All right, first of all, you're telling us to move out, and then we're going to have to fight this people called the Canaanites, which, by the way, I'm going to point out, these people were strong. Okay, these people weren't like pushovers. Okay, these people were armed. These people were very tall. I'm gonna cover that in a little bit, but there is, look, wherefore or why have you brought us out of Egypt to die? There's no bread, there's no water. And they also complained about the meat. There was no meat because they were being fed manna or something. They didn't really like that. These people, and also there were many accounts in the Bible where they did not want to move. They wanted to stay. Even when they crossed the Red Sea, they didn't want to move any further. Right? They did not want to go against these people. These people were dangerous, and God told them repeatedly, these people are stronger than you. You're a tiny people, and you're going to go against this people, these countries that are more stronger than you, like the Hittites, right? I think the Hittites are like a people from Turkey. Okay, these people were the Hittites were like, I think Abraham went to them to buy land. Okay, these people are like an empire. So let's look here, Exodus. Exodus 13. Yeah, so this book right here in verse 5. Okay, the Lord shall bring ye against the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And they started complaining, I think, in oh yeah, no, they scouted the land, and so it was right here. Okay, I messed up again. Let me look that up. Oh yeah, Numbers 13. Oh man, I skipped. It was the wrong book. That's why it didn't work. And there we saw giants, the sons of Anak, which come off of the giants, and we were in our own sight grasshoppers. Okay. So those people that they were fighting, okay, there were no pushovers. Also in the book of Joshua, they had chariots of iron. Alright. These people were mighty, they were very, very strong, and like I said, so a lot of people, like I said, like that one guy earlier in the video, you know, it was gonna be a battle. A lot of them did not want to cross, like they had to cross the river Jordan. They had to purify themselves to do the fighting. It was serious. It was not fun. This is not, you know, they were not a strong people that were just gonna conquer, but like I said, the Lord used them as a to bring you know, fear in the land, you know. That's what God does. That's what God in the Bible talked about, how he destroyed the Babylonians. He destroyed the ancient Egypt. He destroyed the kingdom of Persia, both the kingdoms, the Medians, and he did all these things. Because he's the Lord of the vineyard. He's the, so yeah, let's talk about that. He's the owner of the vineyard. Okay, he's like the landowner, and he determines the borders. I think I talked about that in my last video. He owns the vineyard basically. So we're basically trees. We are basically like in the book of Mark, it talks about just the blind man. He sees people, but it looks like they're trees. I think there's a reason why that is in that book in the Bible, is because we are trees. That's why they call it the Garden of Eden. We're the trees. There's in the Bible it talks about how Jesus said a parable about how the servants were constantly checking the trees for fruits. So you got this angels looking around, checking everybody, and they're looking for fruits, man. And anybody that doesn't have fruit, they get bundled up, man. They're gonna get bundled. They're gonna be thrown into the furnace of fire, and it says there's gonna be weeping and gnashing. So I think that's what it is. I think the earth is a farm, and we're just basically where the there's the weeds and the tares. Let's see here. Yeah, this is Matthew chapter 13. Let's look at that. Chapter 13. Oh man, this is a big book. Yeah, so let both grow together until the harvest. In the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather together, bind them in bundles, burn them, and gather them the wheat in my barn. So it's like a big farm. I think that's what people are. We're like trees, but we can move around. We have the freedom of movement. Like I said, which is kind of cool that I point that out, because this is about movements. I don't think I want to talk about movements for a second, because like I said, when you read the book of Exodus, the book of Numbers, the book of Deuteronomy, I don't have the chapters, but they talk about, like, they're moving to different cities in different regions, like in the, they crossed the Red Sea, they went through the different cities, not the cities, but they set up camp in these different regions. So you can follow it. You're gonna have to read it, because I can't really I can't recall the places off the top of my head. I do know about the Kidron Valley, like I looked at. There's Hebron, there's Mount Sinai, there's the River Jordan. So they're all going through all these different places where you can actually visit the different cities that they conquered, like Jericho. They went through the valley, they went through Jordan. Okay, the Jordan Valley. So there's different places. I can't really, I should have pointed them out. I'll probably talk about it in a later video, about the different lands, the different routes that they've taken. Actually, I can actually just pull up the map. Yeah, that's a better idea. That's actually kind of cool. Right, so they've got, it's very, very, they've got, they traveled, man. They traveled to different places. You can follow all these. They traveled to Migdal, they crossed Red Sea. Oh man, they actually traveled. Oh yeah, they spent 40 years around in this village. Okay, so yeah, they spent like 40 years in the wilderness, and then of course they rebelled around here. They were like rebelling, and so they were here for 40 years until they crossed the Red Sea. Down here you have Mount Sinai. They were in the Midian, and then they went up north, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is where they, okay, yeah, they had to cross through through the land, the Ammonites. Oh no, the Arnon, never mind. They went through Edom, the Moab. So I think something happened here. They wouldn't let them cross. they had a battle, and they went to Jericho, conquered it. And where's Jordan? Anyways, there's a big battle where they battled. They were in Jordan, the River Jordan. I'm not sure where. Actually, let me figure that out. Okay, maybe that was in the book of Joshua. Okay. Yeah, so they went to Jericho. Man, those are different things. Yeah, so there was a case where there were people that they didn't want to move. Okay, they didn't want to keep going. They wanted to stay back. I think this is the River Jordan. Oh yeah, that's it, the Jordan River. Crossed out here. They were battling. They met a people called the Gibeonites, and basically they were taking over this land, and they were dispossessing and displacing the people here. And then the Babylonians and the Assyrians started invading later on to displace them. So you can see, because they were doing the same thing. They were burning children. They were making sacrifices. And guess what? God did the same thing. Took the Babylonians, invaded the land. Took the Assyrians. The Assyrians, invaded them. Even the Egyptians attacked from the south. The same thing happened. So, but yeah, it's a really a very, very interesting book, and you don't really understand Jesus until you read the Old Testament and realize what's going on. And Jesus quotes a lot of the books. That's one thing a lot of people are, they argue about is like, who wrote the Bible, like, who's right. They argue about basically which should be in the canon, what should be in what book should be in the Bible. I think the books in the Bible should be the books that Jesus quoted. He quoted Isaiah, he quoted Jonah, he quoted the book of Genesis. He talked about the days of Noah, so that's Genesis. Talked about Abraham, Exodus. He quoted Deuteronomy. I think he quoted the book of Psalms. He talked about Solomon, so Solomon, the book of Solomon, Ecclesiastes should be there. All the prophets, Micah, I think it's Napham, I think Napham, or all those prophets, Jesus quoted them. So what's in the Bible? Every book that Jesus quoted, because He's the Word of God. All His books are always saying this is what the Lord says. Every book that it wasn't a man talking, right? It was mostly they were quoting God, and this is what God said. Just talk about how people reacted, what people did. So yeah, I think that's all really what I wanted to talk about. I talked about the invasion of Canaan. I talked about it. The Bible is like a military movement, and people are trees. Oh, and I'm not the Lord of the Sabbath. I was going to talk about that, but yeah, basically the whole point of it is basically the people need rest, and I think that's what people need. They need rest, and the Lord of the Sabbath, or the Lord of rest, is Jesus, right? So a lot of people are weary right now. They're being worked to death. And the fact is, the world is a world of suffering and pain and toiling and just sweating, and people being in prison. And we got to share the Bible, and because it's really, when you read it, it really it's the Word of God, and it really helps you. I'm not saying coping, but it gives you knowledge so that you can You know, you need knowledge, right? When you send a special force unit into the jungle, right, you're not going to send them without any knowledge. You need intel, you need information. Read the Bible. Like, it'll give you so much information on what's really going on in the world, why it's happening. And you can see a lot. Every time you see something wrong in the world, you see there's always some sort of idol worship. They're worshiping some sort of idol. They're worshiping false gods. And it's funny because I was watching this one video on YouTube about this Satan guy, right? This satanic dude, and he was talking about, like, man, this Lord's telling them to sacrifice his animals. He's a god of war. He is a god of war. It says in the Bible he's a god of war, and the Satan people are saying he's a god of war, and he's like using it against him as if he's like not the god of war. It says in the Bible he's a man of war. Anyways, that's another subject. This is just my thoughts. Like I said, I'm not like, these are just my thoughts on the Bible. I'm just looking at the different treasures that are inside of it. I'm just sharing it with people. And I think it's really cool to understand and to look these things up and to understand it, because it relates in a lot of what's going on. The wars, the climate, the diseases, everything that's happening. Like I said, it's not just a book by desert people, man. Like, what kind of thing? It's crazy, but a lot of people are thought that it's just a group by a bunch of people that lived in Afghanistan or something. Anyways, I'm gonna close this video, and I kind of rushed through it. Hopefully I didn't miss anything, but that's what was my thoughts today. So anyways, have a nice weekend, and thanks for watching this video. Have a good day.